again, I just love you. I love the way you came off as a person, right? You're super relatable, right? And even when you're doing an interview with Darius, I peeped that you was in a relationship. Y'all had the same mother of your children. How long y'all been together, bro?
12 years, man. 12 years.
Yo, so a little bit about your background. You was in corporate space originally.
Yep. Originally worked for Verizon
Mm-hmm.
for roughly 6 years, 6.5 years.
Yeah, so you was always getting to the money.
Yeah.
How was like? Did y'all ever have like a rocky space when it came to like finances? Just curious.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's the number one thing why people break up is finances. Yeah, definitely. I felt like in the beginning I was immature. I was looking for another me, but she couldn't be me. Like I'm the hustler. I'm the grinder. Like she's more of the take care of the house.
Wow.
And I was looking for me, and I had to realize that she's she.
Yeah.
And I had to respect that. And now, look, she haven't paid a bill in roughly, I would say, 3.5 years.
Bro, I love that, bro, because so many people don't understand how it ain't even just a flex. Like, I'm tired of these on the internet want to keep telling 50-50 and what you, I'm like, yo, do what's best for you. Because, and just in my opinion, right, when you can and you're able, I don't want my woman paying no bills. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so if you got to second guess me from that, like, we probably shouldn't be together. That's why I was curious, like, how was it in the beginning before you even start getting to the bag?
And I'm going to get to it, too. So, and one thing I say is, too, right, you want your woman to always operate in femininity. Like, if she's not being feminine to you, she's not operating at her best self. And as a man, especially you somebody who's out getting it for your family, if she don't respect you, then you got to let her go, 100%. But to go back to when we first started, we both was working. We were going 50-50. I was a kid. When she first had my first son, she stopped working. I was one cover and everything. And it was tough for me. You know, I didn't know because I didn't have that father around me to show me, hey, like what a real man is. But I had to learn along the way, and she taught me, you know, like, to be honest, she helped me become a better person. Everything, man. At first, you know, I was, you know, trying to do everything that was popping, you know, and it didn't work for me. I knew I was super smart. I knew I was a guy who could sell and speak to anyone. Like, that was something I prayed on, speaking to any race, any ethnicity, and being able to be relatable to them where I can come in and brighten the room up.
That's fire, bro. Yo, I want to take my time with it. Yeah, no, yeah, like, I can relate, too. Like, like you said, a lot of relationships fail because of finances and lack of. And it's crazy because somebody told me before I got into entrepreneurship, it's similar stories, right? My man, I think he was making 100,000 at the time, right? Or maybe a little bit over. And I was having some like issues with my relationship at the time. And he was like, man, look, I make 100,000 and it's hard for me. He's like, bro, go get that money if you got to work a job or not, right? This is before I did start doing the scrum and stuff. And I was like, I was wondering, when did you see the shift? Did you see the shift once you started working corporate in your relationship? Or when was it for you? Just curious.
So I'll say this, right? So before corporate, I was working in the restaurants, late nights. After work, traditionally, what they do is we go get a drink. But, you know, you getting off at 12, you get a drink, you get home to 3 a.m. So initially, I knew that was going to tear my relationship apart. So I had to give up the restaurants, the quick money, right? Because I was making $200 to $300 a night working in Times Square, New York, and had to go the corporate route. And at first, it wasn't the best money, right? Like, I worked in the stores. I was a representative in Verizon stores, selling phones. And
that's still long hours.
Quickly, yeah, it was hard out. It was still hard, but it wasn't hard like restaurants.
Okay.
So I initially just quickly applied myself, and I believe my first year in sales, working in the stores, I won Winner Circle. So that's like top 10% in the nation in sales.
Wow.
And, you know, I pretty much just locked in, and I was just grinding. Then I was promoted to basically an account manager for business in Verizon, which I pretty much took over Harlem. It was almost like a punishment store, right? Because everybody said that store was terrible. Everybody got to pick a store but me. So I was like, all right, cool. Y'all ain't let me pick a store? I'm going to turn up. I ended up making that territory one of the best territories in the nation. I think the first month me coming in, I finished at #1 in sales. Yeah. Then I transitioned as a senior account manager where I pretty much took over like medium-sized businesses. Basically, just to give you an example of like a medium-sized business, it'd be like from 20 to 100 employees. So before we was in a 1 to 10 space, but we can touch 1 to 19. with employees. But yeah, pretty much grew through the ranks. Even in that role, I ended up getting an award. Went to Hawaii for that award.
Nice.
And then I transitioned to being a leader in Massachusetts. That's what brought me to Massachusetts. They relocated me to Massachusetts, and essentially I took over a team of 6. It increased to 8, and I started a mentorship, and I felt like I found my passion. I was that person who was stuck in corporate, still lost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was still lost. Like, and it's a lot of people out there that's in corporate America and they're lost. They don't know how to play the politic game, or, they got a terrible boss. Like, people don't quit jobs because of the job. It's usually the boss. So once I noticed that, man, that I was still lost, I was still searching for more, I was like, man, what I got to do? I got to move quick. So what I did was, because like anybody else working in 9 to 5, I didn't have much money saved up. I had a high overhead. I own a house in Jersey. And basically, when I left out of my apartment, 2 of my apartments were vacant. So literally, my mortgage is expensive. So I was paying my mortgage, and Massachusetts is expensive. So I was getting cooked. I went in my 401k to take a risk to invest into mentorships. And it was the best thing I ever did, man. And it took me time, right? I seen all the gurus. I listened to what everybody was saying. But I wasn't looking for I didn't have shiny object syndrome. I was looking for somebody who was going to give me knowledge and structure.
Yo, so, okay, wait. I understand your overhead is high, right? But as men, right, It's a relatable conversation.
Yeah.
A lot of times we think all the answer to our questions is the bag. And it sounded like you was getting to it.
That's me.
So, how are you lost? I don't even understand that.
Yo, let me tell you, just because you're making $200K a year at a job don't mean you can't be lost. Sometimes you have that feeling that it's more. You have that feeling. It's a lot of 9 to 5 people that's working jobs right now. I have that feeling like, man, I know it's more to life than getting up and doing the same thing every day. So what I did was I betted on myself, and I paid for a mentorship. And what I did was I applied my corporate structure to my day-to-day. And that literally turned me up because I was more disciplined than anybody in the room.
How was you able to find what mentorship to apply to?
So, to be honest, it started back in the pandemic. I listened to him 500.
Yeah.
I listened to him on a podcast. On Millionaire's Worth of Game. He was on a jet. I said, who is this guy?
Yeah. This is back when he was fat, too.
Yeah.
That's why with a blue suit. With a blue suit. Yeah. And it was his jet, too.
Yeah, so he sat them on a jet, and I just seen him talking. I was like, who is this guy? And during the pandemic, on the side as well, I was selling sneakers.
Okay.
Selling sneakers to athletes, a couple like.
Well, you still working too?
Yeah, still working.
Oh, you a hustler? Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
So I ran out of money buying sneakers.
Oh.
So you got more inventory than money. What do you do? So I'm like, yo, what should I do, man? Because now my credit cards are up. I got this inventory. What should I do? So I started to learn about credit, and I'm like, okay, what's one thing that can help me to basically suppress my credit issues? Because my usage was over almost 89%.
Damn.
So what I did was I started to learn about business credit, and I started to get business cards, and I started to liquidate my business cards to pay off my personal debt. And that's what brought me up to a 700 credit score.
So that sounds so positive. That sounds like it worked. But it sounds dangerous too.
No. And why do it sound dangerous?
Because you got credit to liquidate it, to spend it on debt.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you why. So on the business side, initially, it don't show on your debt to income ratio. Right? So on your credit report, usage is only from a personal side. From the business side, it suppresses it. So now when I sell an inventory, I can put the money right back on the business. And the beautiful thing about the business is for the first year, I was 0% interest.
Right.
So now it's OPM. I'm playing with other people's money now.
Yeah.
So that's what you definitely essentially want to do.
Okay. So you took the money from your business credit, you liquidated that, you paid off your personal credit, but then you still had to get the money to get just shoes though, right?
No, I had a lot of inventory during the pandemic. So I had a lot of inventory. So all I needed to do at that point was just sell the shoes.
Okay.
Put the money back.
You just need to pay that credit off so your shit won't be.
Correct.
Okay, fucked up.
So yeah.
Okay, so you paid that off. How long did it take you to sell your shoes? I'm just like,
so next question.
During the pandemic, they didn't call the pandemic the pandemic. It was the pandemic.
Facts.
It was the pandemic. So we were doing really well selling shoes. But what happened is when you're going through like a connect, they expect you to take a certain amount of volume of shoes.
Okay.
You
So
got
we
to
were paying a monthly fee to this connect, and he was extremely greedy. So we were almost paying close to resale on shoes. It was almost like a $30 profit. But what happened is I was getting a shoe before everybody else.
Okay.
Yeah, I was getting a shoe.
So
he was a Nike rep.
A little bit.
Yeah, he was a Nike rep down there, and he was a greedy guy. It didn't work out in the long run, but we ended up, you know what I'm saying, I ended up getting the hottest shoes. I got them the quickest. I was shipping them out to athletes, football players, mostly football players I sold shoes to.
Yeah, it sounded like the shoe game was damn near worse than the dope game. God.
Yeah. What size shoe game was like the dope game during the pandemic?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are reselling, and Jordans are making a comeback. I'm not going to lie to you. It looks like there's a market for that as well. But something that you just said, I'm sorry, you're going to make a point? Something that you said before that I didn't want you to speed past was like, so a lot of people working a 9-to-5 that are, which what I heard was uncomfortably comfortable.
Yes.
And one of the richest black man in America is David Stewart. And his story sounds very similar to you. You know who that is? But essentially, he was at FedEx, and he was the #1 salesman in FedEx and quit his job. So he quit his 9-to-5. I'm talking about all of the company, #1 salesman. He quit his job to go bankrupt, essentially.
Yeah.
Hey, that's lost. I want to feel lost.
But he goes bankrupt and becomes now, 40, 50 years later, he becomes the richest black man in America.
Because he betted on himself.
He took that risk. So I just was kind of thinking, like, what was that transition for you? Because he often talks about his wife and like the support in taking that transition to bet on yourself. What does that support look like for you?
Yeah. So first and foremost, she trusted me from the Bronx. We moved to Jersey. I bought a 3-family house. Then we moved to Massachusetts. And everywhere she trusted me. Now we're about to make a transition to Atlanta. And she's like, yo, I trust you. So again, if you have a woman that's operating in their femininity, they will trust you.
How does that feel? I'm sorry. I'm just curious. How does that feel as a man?
Yo, man, it feels so amazing. And yo, she get on me. She get on me all the time. She's my quality control. She's my quality control. So she like, yo, you shouldn't post something like that because you don't want to attract those kind of people. You know, so we grew up in the hood, right? Like we have shiny object syndrome. Who we looked up to was the drug dealers.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And, you know, they had the newest Jordans on. During the time in the 90s, it was the Bo Jacksons.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, for me to see that, man, sometimes you had that shiny object syndrome, but you can basically attract the wrong people that way too. You know what I'm saying? So be yourself, be who you are, and live in who you are.
Yeah. That's good, bro.
Yeah.
Shit, all right. I'm curious to know. At what time, because it seemed like you was working, you selling Jordans, you running it up the pandemic, as we say, right?
Yeah.
At what time did you know, okay, it's time for me to stop working? And, matter of fact, before that, I'm sorry, because I had another question. Damn.
That's okay.
I'm excited.
No, it's good, yeah.
All right, so how did you even learn that I can do this business credit route and liquidate? Because we usually hear about credit first. Before I heard about business credit, I heard about credit. Then I heard about business credit. I'm like, damn, I wish I would have found that out first. How did you find that out?
To be honest, listening to Him 500, listening to all the credit podcasts, after a while, I was a YouTube warrior. So after a while, I can repeat everything they were saying.
Okay.
So like, I always tell people I'm not the best at anything, but my ability to grasp information is on another level. So it's like when I pick it up, I hear it, it's done. I can imitate it and do it, you know, but I like to do things at my own pace and who I am. You know what I'm saying? Because I still want to operate and be the person I am. I don't want to be anybody else.
That's fine. Okay, so now, at what point in time, I'm selling shoes, I'm working, you get in a bag. It's the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
I say, man, I can't do this job shit no more.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go all in with this funding company, business funding company.
So let's speed up a little bit. During the pandemic, that was what, 2020, 2021?
Yeah.
Well, I just quit maybe last month.
Word?
Yeah.
So this is new.
9 to 5, man. So let's.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Cause all these niggas be on Instagram told quit your 9, man. Shut your ass.
You don't just quit your 9 to 5, man. You gotta, cause you remember your 9 to 5 is your first business partner. So a lot of people don't know that. They gonna give you the money to go to the banks to give the banks the money, and from there you build relationships with the banks with the money. So again, I like to call myself like a credit. I like to call myself a relationship coach, right? Because I help people build relationships with banks, right? So I teach them, hey, think like the banks. If you're a human being and you come to the table with no plate of food, and a person come to the table with a plate of food and he's willing to share with everybody, who you gonna respect more?
The person with the plate of food.
100%. So again, when you come to these banks, you can't just say, come up with your hand out asking for a credit card. Deposit money in the account. Open up a pledge loan. Do these things first, because what happens is it builds a better relationship between you and the bank. Because remember, the banks, ultimately, they're leveraging your money to give somebody a loan, right? Or give somebody a credit card, or give somebody an auto loan or mortgage. They're leveraging your money. And then what happens is you're depositing your money and they're charging somebody 22% on the back end. But again, everybody's using everybody here, right? Yeah. We're using them to get 0% interest credit cards. They're using us to leverage our money to give to
somebody else
client for 22%.
Exactly. She just quit. That's fire. That's tough. Like, congratulations, nigga.
I appreciate it. It was scary, yo. You know what I'm saying? Because I have a family, and obviously I got a high overhead, my living expenses. But at the end of the day, I got to believe in me. And I felt, I felt it in my body. I'm like, man, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. And again, sales is a young man game. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, at a certain age, people are not going to respect you in sales. Unless you ill. It got some ill people out there. But again, like, it's a young man's game. It's a new sales rep coming in every day. And, I was one of the top guys for sure. But at the end of the day, I wanted to bet on myself. I could be a salesman in my own company. You know what I'm saying? Again, we don't play for the front of our jersey. We play for the back.
That last name, talk heavy, boy. Talk heavy.